Imagine you are at the most heartbreaking, serious, and incredibly important funeral of your life. The entire room is packed with people dressed in black. There is absolute, deafening silence. Grown men are wiping tears from their eyes. A highly respected priest is standing over the casket, delivering a beautiful, tear-jerking prayer for the departed soul. And suddenly, right in the middle of that dead silence, someone echoes through the entire hall, screaming the most filthy, disgusting, and ear-piercing swear words you have ever heard. You turn around in absolute horror, thinking, what kind of mannerless animal would disrespect the dead like this? And you realize, it actually is an animal. More specifically, a parrot. If you think history is just boring textbooks, serious wars, and old guys in powdered wigs, you are about to laugh yourself out of your chair. Lean in close, because today we are looking at the absolute funniest, most absurd, and unbelievably true funeral in American history. Today, you are going to hear how the 7th President of the United States ruined his own funeral from beyond the grave and turned it into an absolute circus. Do not click away, because this story is going to keep you hypnotized to the very end. Let's meet our main character, Andrew Jackson, the very serious-looking guy staring back at you from the American $20 bill. Andrew Jackson was not a normal politician. He was an absolute beast made of steel, not nerves. The people called him Old Hickory because he was as tough and unbreakable as an old tree. This man fought in over 100 gun duels. He got into so many shootouts that he walked around with 2 lead musket balls permanently lodged inside his body for his entire life. One time, an assassin walked right up to him and pulled the trigger on 2 pistols at point-blank range. By a sheer miracle, both guns jammed. So, what did President Jackson do? He took his heavy wooden walking cane and beat the assassin half to death right there on the street. His bodyguards actually had to pull the president off the assassin to save the killer's life. Basically, Andrew Jackson was the ultimate, unfiltered, hot-tempered bad boy of the 1800s. He publicly insulted his rivals with the foulest words imaginable. And it was exactly that personality that came back to haunt him after his death. In his later years, Jackson bought an African gray parrot named Pole for his beloved wife, Rachel. In case you didn't know, African gray parrots are the absolute geniuses of the bird world. They don't just mimic sounds. They have the intelligence of a 5-year-old human. They memorize the tone, the emotion, and exactly when to use certain words. Unfortunately, Jackson's wife passed away, and so it was just the aging, angry president and his parrot, Pole. 2 stubborn, grumpy old bachelors living together in a massive mansion. And what do you think Jackson did all day in his office? He read the newspapers and raged at his rivals. He yelled at his ministers. He stressed out over his massive debts, screaming the absolute dirtiest, most unfiltered sailor swears you can imagine. And right there, sitting quietly in the corner of the room, was Pole the parrot, listening, watching his master's every move, and memorizing every single filthy word, like a living tape recorder. Fast forward to June 8, 1845. The toughest president in U.S. history, Andrew Jackson, passes away at the age of 78. His funeral was one of the largest and most serious events in American history. The absolute elite of the country, military generals, governors, politicians, and wealthy nobles, all gathered at his grand estate. Historically, around 10,000 people showed up outside. Inside the house, the atmosphere was incredibly heavy. It was a day of national mourning. Everything was draped in black. Complete, absolute respect. Out of respect for the late president, his family placed his best friend, Pole the parrot, in a cage in the corner of the room. After all, it's just a harmless bird, right? What could it possibly do? That was the biggest mistake in funeral history. The highly respected Reverend William Menifee Normant stepped to the front of the room. He opened his black Bible. The hundreds of hardened military men and elegant ladies bowed their heads in deep silence. The Reverend took a deep breath and began his beautiful, solemn prayer for the great president's soul. O Lord, we gather here today to remember this great man who dedicated his life to his country. Squawk! God damn it! Go to hell! The entire room froze. People slowly opened their eyes and looked around in absolute terror. Did someone just swear? In front of the dead body? Reverend Norman turned pale. Sweating, he nervously cleared his throat and tried to recover. Excuse me. As I was saying, President Jackson was a great example for us all. Fuck you, you son of a bitch! Squawk! This time it was so loud there was no ignoring it. It was Pole the parrot. You see, the parrot didn't understand what a funeral was. He didn't understand mourning. He just saw that a bunch of strangers were inside his house, and he decided to greet them with the exact same terrifying tone his master used. And Pole didn't just swear once and stop. No. According to the actual historical diary written by Reverend Norman himself, the parrot filled its little lungs with air and unleashed an unstoppable hurricane of the most disgusting, R-rated garbage humanity has ever invented. He was swearing like an absolute machine gun. Just picture this scene. Elegant, high society ladies in black dresses are gasping, covering their ears in horror. Hardened, war-torn generals are biting their lips, desperately trying not to explode with laughter. And the poor Reverend? He is dripping with sweat, literally shouting his prayers at the top of his lungs, trying to drown out the sound of the bird. May God rest his soul. Burn in hell, you bastards! The funeral completely collapsed. It turned into an absolute circus comedy. The heartbreaking silence was utterly destroyed by Andrew Jackson's favorite pet. The laughter was impossible to hide. It got so bad that the servants had to immediately intervene. Several grown men rushed the birdcage, but Pole was not going down without a fight. As the servants literally wrestled the cage out the front doors, dragging the bird outside, Pole continued screaming horrific profanities all the way to the yard, roasting the most powerful people in America as he left. Even in death, lying in a casket, Andrew Jackson managed to yell and swear at everyone in the room. One last time. The best comedy writers in Hollywood could not invent a better script. The most sacred, final goodbye of America's toughest president was completely hijacked by a foul-mouthed bird. If this story made your day, and you want to hear more mind-blowing, logic-defying historical facts that were completely hidden from your textbooks, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment below. If your pet could talk, what would they scream at your funeral? I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe out there.